cars most loved. We all have them. Thinking about it, we might say the cars we regretted parting with, or even dare I say the ones that went to the scrapyard. I remember Margaret taking her Honda Accord Aero deck to the scrapyard, almost reduced her to tears, that did. So, since 1971, when I passed my driving test almost 50 years ago, I've owned about 30 cars, I suppose, and I've collected them all in 143 scale. So I've decided to choose 6 of them spread out across the decade. And I suppose, like most people, we're bound to choose that first one, an Austin A30, Battleship Grey. You can see one there behind me. Well, I wonder how many of you would like to share with us your first car. You can put it down below on the old answer and question session. You can also click and subscribe there, which would be a great help. So, let's go on to the cars. We'll have a look at the 143 scales first before we go on to the bigger ones. Here is the collection of 143 scale in chronological order. As we can see, number 1, the Austin A30, is top left. That one there, that was my first car. We can't see number 2 in this shot, or although just in shot. There it is, the Ford Corsair. Mine was actually in red with a black roof. Number 3 is the Lancia Fulvia. It was in white, the correct colour there. Number 4 is the Daimler 250 V8. It was the second one I had that we're talking about, because there's 2 there. I had 2, that one and that one, and it's that one. But mine was actually brown. So those are the first 4 cars, and we'll change the camera to show you the other 2. Here we have them. We can just get them in shot, and they were the Series 3 XJ6, which is this one here in black. Mine was actually in brown, and the second of my Alpha 156s, the JTS 2 litre, and that one's there in blue. It was a facelift model. That's not a facelift model, but it's a job to get the facelift models in 143. So those are the 6 cars we're going to talk about. My Austin A30 VYB 703 was a 2-door 1953 model. The car was introduced in the 1951 Earl's Court Motor Show. Available in 2-door, 4-door, and in 1954 came the Countryman Estate and the van. Powered by an 803cc engine, it produced 28 brake horsepower. I fitted a 948cc engine, which upped the power to 34 brake horsepower. In 1951, the car cost a princely sum of £507, equivalent to about $15,000 today. An optional extra radio was £43 and a heater £9. Easily identified from the later A35 by its smaller rear window and longer gear stick. It was one of the first James Bond cars, with Bond driving one around Jamaica in Dr. No. This Pathé News item is interesting. It's an RAC economy run, or a check. It's very evocative of the time.
But there's the usual crop of lorries that just won't be passed, and which always manage to turn up just as the road gets narrower and more winding. All the same, a lively little car like this will find a chance to overtake sooner than most. The end of the first leg, Lime reaches, and about time for the first fill-up. Leslie Webb chooses the pump. Just one more of those meticulous RAC rules. He watches the filling carefully. He checks the filler tube for the exact level, and the boot is again closed and locked. Now we have some figures for a first reckoning of consumption. It works out at nearly 50 miles per gallon. But so far we've had the worst of the weather, and the average is likely to be better than that.
The Ford Consul Corsair, produced 1963 to 65. The V4 was produced 65 to 1970. Mine was a 1500 Kent engine model, produces 60 brake horsepower. It costs new £957. About 600 are still on the roads today out of 310,000 produced. Its styling was heavily influenced by the US cars, more so than the Mark I Cortina, with which it shared many parts. This is an interesting Ford documentary on the sales pitch on the V4. Here we can see them smoking, and I suppose it's to show off the cigarette lighter. They even roped Jim Clark into showing the car off, which we'll see a bit later on. Of course, his Lotus team used Ford engines, and they were sponsored by Ford. Here's Jim Clark. The Lancia Fulvia was produced 1963 to 76, named after the Via Fulvia, the Roman road from Toronto to Turin, introduced at the 1960 Geneva Motor Show. The Fulvia Coupe came out 2 years later, which is what I have, a 1.3S. I bought it with a blown head gasket, which I thought would be a simple fix. I could never get it to run right, so got rid of it. Something I have always regretted. Of course it could not. Of course, the Fulvias went on to win 7 World Rally Championships with the special HF version. Here's some interesting footage of the 1960s. Mine was a 1.3S. Where they beat the much more powerful Porsche 911, which used the same engine as the earlier HFs.
In sinistra 1. In destra 3 lunga.
Pretty hairy, some of this driving.
Destra 5 continua per ottava.
The Daimler 250 V8 Saloon. I had 2 of these great cars. The second was my longest ownership to date, not counting the Alfa 159, which I still have. The 250 V8 was essentially a rebadged Jaguar Mark II, fitted with the wonderful Edward Turner 2.5 litre V8 engine which you can hear running now. I think it was a more refined car than the Jag, with a smoother, lighter V8. Some 17,600 were produced in total. If you can find a manual, it really is a good buy. A modified Toyota gearbox is another expensive option. This was my third choice, the Jaguar 250 V8. Car number 5, the Jaguar XJ6 Series 3, the last of the true Jags that Sir William Lyons had a hand in designing. It was a large redesign by Pininfarina from Italy, which made it an altogether sleeker model than the two predecessors. I also had a Series 1 and 2 Series 3s. This is the second one I had, the 4.2 litre Stable Brown. It was replaced by the XJ40, which was a real dog of a car and finished me with Jags after numerous breakdowns. Some of the later XJ Jags look quite nice, but I've never had much experience with them. I've been a loyal Alpha man ever since I had the last Jag. The Alpha 156 Type 932, introduced in 1997 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, was first tried out by me in Italy in 1999, a 1.9 diesel which we took around the Mille Miglia route. She struggled a bit on some of the hills. My first 156 was a 1.8 twin spark and the second a 2 litre JTS. My choice for the sixth car. A car I always regretted parting with, although the 159 TBI has been a great car. Some interesting features of the Alpha released. Some interesting material here of the Alpha release in Sicily, around the streets of Palermo and in the mountains. It was European Car of the Year in 1998, and the 2.5 Bussel V6 was awarded Engine of the Year in 2000. The 156 went on to win 35 awards. It was also outstanding car in touring car racing, winning the European Championship in 2000 and 2001 to 2003. What a car! So the question remains, which one was the best? Well, the answer is I can't really say. I can tell you the ones it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be the Austin A30. Loved it, drove it like an idiot, ended up looking like a stock car. The Corsair, loved that, the styling, but very much of its time, so it wouldn't be that. The Lancia Phobia, without doubt, was the car I regret most getting rid of, looking back on it. But I did not get to drive it that much, so it's not really a contender. Which leaves the Daimler 250 V8, the Series 3 XJ6, and the Alpha 156 2-litre JDS, which are very hard to separate. And of course these do not include my present vehicles, for it is the cars we have loved, indicating the past. Whereas the Alpha 159 TBI is in the present, which was easily joined the group on merit. So there we are. I'd really like to know what your favourite cars are. You can tell us on the old answering questions session down below. And I'd like to click and subscribe at the same time, please. So, bye for now, see you next time.